Okay, let's begin. So, good morning. My name is Alison Gass, and this is my colleague, Howard Alexander.
Good morning.
So, can we begin by confirming your first names, please?
My name is Bianca.
And my name is In.
Thank you. So, as we speak, please remember that at any time you can ask me or each other to confirm, clarify, or give further information. So, you will not lose marks for asking questions throughout the test. So in this first task, I'd like to learn something about you and your job. So Bianca, if I can begin with you, what's your job and where do you work?
I am an air traffic controller. I work for the National Air Navigation Service provider of my state. At the moment I work in the tower of a rather small regional airport where I have a combined ground tower and procedural approach function.
Okay, thank you. And In, what's your job and where do you work?
I'm a commercial airline pilot. I trained in the UK before returning home. And now I'm currently a first officer flying for a small airline operator in my country. I fly domestic and short-haul international flight to various countries in Southeast Asia.
Okay, thank you. So Bianca, you say that you work for a small regional airport. Can you tell me a bit more about your airport and its operations?
Yeah, we have a runway 05 and runway 23, and the runway length is approximately 2,700 meters, but it's just under 50 meters wide. And runway 23 has ILS category 1, but recently ILS category 2 has been installed. And yeah, we really do like it. And we have domestic and international traffic. So I think maybe 20 or 30 scheduled flights a day.
Okay.
May I ask a question?
Yes, please do.
Do you have any charter flights?
Yes, we do. We do have charter flights, and they come with the season. In the winter, we don't have so many. In the summer, because the region is a tourist region, we have a lot more. Let's say maybe 20 or 30 flights in the week, but more at the weekend times.
Do you have any other general aviation traffic?
Yes, we have. We have a small flying club, but yeah, it's really small, but still it's rather active. And we have a flight training academy, so it's both for light aircraft and helicopters. Yes, once a year we have an air show, so it's mainly a demonstration of military and civilian aircraft and air displays. So I think it's a lot of fun for the people, but it's really hard for air traffic controllers.
You said you do approach control. Do you have a separate approach control unit?
Yes, we do have a separate approach control, but it does not operate 24 hours. It only operates from 6 o'clock in the morning until 8 o'clock in the evenings. And after these times, we provide procedural approach service only, but the tower controllers do this. And we have noise abatement regulations. We don't have so many traffic movements in the night.
Thank you, Bianca. So In, you fly short-haul international flights. Can you tell me what aircraft you fly internationally?
When I fly internationally, I fly the Airbus A310.
An A310?
Yes, A310.
Okay, and I know that before flying, pilots often walk around the aircraft to inspect it. Can you tell me what they are looking for when they do that check?
Yeah, always before flying, a pilot must carefully inspect the aircraft. When I inspect my aircraft, I check all surfaces for sign of damage. A plane can be damaged by a bird strike or lightning strike or any other object, or by service vehicle on the ground. Maybe if I have bent or damaged wings panels, this can be an indication of damage to the airframe. Maybe structural damage, and this is more serious. So this check is very important before each flight.
Okay, and where do you start your checks?
I start at the nose, and first I check the pitot system. The pitot tube gives information for the airspeed and altimeter, and I check to make sure there is no obstruction. Then I check the nose on the carriage, and I look for damage to the tires or for tires worn out. In the undercarriage, I check the oleos to ensure compression is correct and there are no leak of fluid. Then after the nose gear, I do the same checks on the main undercarriage below the wings.
I'm sorry, can you explain, please, what is oleos?
Oleos?
Yeah. I've never heard this word before.
The oleos is a part of undercarriage. It's for observing the impact of the aircraft on landing.
Thank you, and please continue.
After undercarriage, I inspect the leading edge of the wings for damage, and I check the engine cowling and the fastenings. Look at the fan blades I can see on the engine, and I look for any sign of damage from bird strike or other objects. I check the engine, exhaust, and air intakes and look for obstructions. I look at the fuselage and the tail, and I do the same checks over all surfaces. And I check all cargo doors or access hatches are shut and secure.
Okay, Ian, thank you. Bianca, you mentioned about noise abatement regulations. Could you explain a bit more about those regulations at your airport?
Do you mean for the nighttime operations or for the daytime?
For the daytime.
Okay. There are small towns and villages very close around the airport. So for turbojet and propeller aircraft, we have noise abatement procedures for continuous descent approach.
Okay, please go on.
So we expect such an aircraft approaching the airport to confirm with our continuous descent approach. And this is for low power and low drag approach. And for this, we instruct aircraft to fly between, 210 knots and 240 knots during approach. And at 12 nautical miles, we, from touchdown, we reduce aircraft speed to between 160 and, say, 180 knots. And then they must maintain 160 knots from, 8 DME to 4 DME from touchdown. And then to help with aircraft spacing, we may request exact speeds, and pilots must comply with speed adjustments when we tell them. And if the pilot needs speed change, just let's say because of the aircraft performance, the pilot should tell us.
In this system, who passes heading and flight levels or altitude?
First, by the radar controller, an aircraft will be vectored from the holding facility to, or after transfer of control from the area control unit to our approach. When clearance to descend below the transition altitude is given, ATC advises pilots of the track distance to touchdown. And we try to make descent continuous with no level flight necessary. Approach control gives more information on the distance from the touchdown between this descent clearance and the instruction to turn onto the intercept heading for the ILS localizer.
Thank you, Bianca. I'll stop you there. So, do you like flying the A310?
Yes, it's a beautiful aircraft. Very nice to fly with many automatic systems.
Okay, and I've heard of something called an ECAM on an Airbus. Can you explain what an ECAM is?
Yeah, ECAM. ECAM is for electronic centralized aircraft monitoring system. It's a system that has two flight warning computers that process data from the aircraft systems and gives the pilot's status information. ECAM monitors aircraft systems to give early notification of problems to the crew if anything is not normal.
And if there's a problem, what happens?
If there is a problem, the ECAM system generates warning indications.
Oh, okay, so it tells you something is wrong?
Yes, it tells you there is a problem, what the problem is, and how serious the problem is.
So how serious it is as well.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I'll stop you there if I may.